Occupy Wall Street has become a very, very interesting situation, has it not? They've got a lot of money now. They are also picking up endorsements. So far, Occupy Wall Street has been endorsed by the Communist Party USA, the American Nazi Party, and yesterday, former KKK leader David Duke came out and endorsed Occupy Wall Street. So no great surprise that Occupy Wall Street has a very definite anti-Semitic tone to it. Don Feder, tremendous writer. We all know him, frequent guest on this program, I'm thrilled to say, covering this as well as the virulent anti-Semitism that infests the left. Hey, Don, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff.
It is, as always, my friend, a pleasure to have you here. Tell me a little bit about this, because you're the guy who's going out and you're really looking into the continuing anti-Semitism on the left.
Yeah, and it's pervasive, Jeff. And as I said in a commentary I wrote about 2 years ago, leftist anti-Semitism goes back to Karl Marx, who's the granddaddy of the modern left. The man who wrote the Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital, he came from a family of German Jews that had assimilated, converted to Christianity. His parents became Lutherans. He was a raving anti-Semite. He said the God of the Jews is money.
Right.
And the Jews control the world's economy, which, of course, a number of people in the Occupy Wall Street movement are just parroting that. But there is... Jeff, I don't know how many people in the Occupy Wall Street movement are anti-Semitic, although anti-Semitism does seem to be prominent. And the irony here is that the mainstream media was all over the Tea Party movement because of alleged racism, because people were alleged to have shouted racial epithets at black congressmen. You go on YouTube and you search anti-Semitism and Occupy Wall Street movement, and you'll come up with any number of videos where you'll have one of the leaders of the Occupy Wall Street movement shouting at an elderly Jew who he calls Mo, a counter-protester, go back to Israel. And then there's this constant refrain that Jews control the Federal Reserve System. In fact, there was a woman in California, Los Angeles rally, who was an employee of the Los Angeles Unified School District who said Jews control the Federal Reserve,
right,
and they should be run out of the country. She lost her job, which I find amazing, frankly. But the thing is, the mainstream media ignores this, Jeff. If you Google Occupy Wall Street movement anti-Semitism, other than Fox News, you will find no mainstream media covering the story.
All right. Now, explain to us the reason that members of the media, many of whom would be Jewish themselves, have chosen to turn a blind eye to this.
Well, for the same reason, but they turn a blind eye to anti-Semitism by the Palestinian Authority, for instance. They view this as kind of a quirky aberration. And they don't want people to focus on that because they're afraid that it will detract from the wonderful message of the Occupy Wall Street movement, which is the banker, not Democratic politicians, not Barney Frank, but bankers are responsible for the economic downturn, for the recession over the last few years. That's the message that the media wants to get across to save Obama's presidency.
You know what's also fascinating, Don, is that when you look at some of the posters that have been displayed at Occupy Wall Street events, the caricatures of bankers look an awful lot like the propaganda that used to come out of Nazi Germany.
Quite a coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah, shocking.
Yeah, I know. But again, as you pointed out, Jeff, in your introduction, the Communist Party has endorsed Occupy Wall Street. The Nazi Party, I don't hear any spokesman for the Occupy Wall Street movement standing up and saying, we don't want communist support. These people are un-American. We're pro-American. Right. We don't want their endorsement. Absolutely not. I mean, if this scum, forgive me for being blunt, if this scum had endorsed the Tea Party movement, a Tea Party spokesman would be rushing to the podium,
That's right.
To renounce it, to reject their support. And from the Occupy Wall Street movement, nothing. No rejection of no disavowal of anti-Semitism.
Yeah, that is the part that is so troubling for those of us who get it, and I don't even want to say puzzling, because there's a huge number of people who don't get it at all. There was a handful of nitwits that may have shown up at a scattered Tea Party event somewhere. The Tea Party people immediately removed them, and you're right. Had there been anything like this, you would have had a collection of Tea Party leaders saying we don't want it. But the Occupy Wall Street people have not at any point said we don't want the Communist Party endorsement, we don't want support from the Nazis, and we don't want David Duke. And I got to tell you, I think their silence speaks volumes.
It does, and I think ultimately there's going to be a backlash. I think that this is also going to hurt Obama's reelection prospects. Far from boosting his campaign by creating more scapegoats, I think the American people in their fair-mindedness are going to look at this and they're going to say, well, the president endorses this. But wait a second, wasn't this the same president who sat in the front row of Jeremiah Wright's church for 19 years and listened to this lunatic spew anti-Semitism and anti-Americanism? I think people are going to make the connection.
I certainly hope so. Don, it's a pleasure as always to have you here. Shabbat Shalom. We'll talk soon, I hope.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. That is Don Feder, tremendous writer, as you know, frequent guest on this program. DonFeder.com is where you read his stuff. You do need to be aware. You really do. You know what? I feel like a teacher sometimes. You need to be aware of things. I just want you to be aware of what it is that you're up against as a decent person trying to do the right thing. You are up against a gigantic media that does their best to cover it up. If you are standing with Occupy Wall Street looking at people who have been endorsed by the Communist Party, the Nazi Party, and just yesterday they picked up the endorsement of KKK leader David Duke. I don't hear any of them. I don't see any of them. I haven't read any of them say, oh, no, we don't want that. They are perfectly okay with this. And if that doesn't tell you what they are really all about, then I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.